Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to do something a little bit more different. I find this will be a bit more of an interesting thing. Now with the upcoming Halloween event, well sorry, the Halloween event coming to an end, and we are going to have the Hardcore Iron Man. There's also the Christmas event coming up as well. I thought something like this would actually be quite good as a series as well. Now what I'm going to start doing is pretty similar to Zega's new videos, and Zega, I do apologise. I know you're reviewing like Poor Men budget cast stuff. I actually thought, how about we do something like a short series where we are going to look at actual builds. Yeah, I thought obviously let's do something a bit more different. So the plan for this series is we're going to be on a budget, and we're going to only be at a specific level per build to do this. So on one of these tabs here, I have obviously the stat calculator, and we are going to just base it on a doctor. Obviously, you can do whatever you want in this aspect. If you create a new account, obviously you can't see this drop down menu. So basically, professions here, it's just doctor, craftsman, weapons, and all that stuff. You have like a list of them. Now, a lot of these will have some sort of stat buffs in a sense. So some, for example, firemen will have increased melee endurance. Police officer, let's see, there you go. So he'll have more stats there himself. So I thought, obviously, let's do this a different way and actually help everyone in regards to this, because not a lot of people understand how stats work, and that's absolutely fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to base it on the first 50 levels for this doctor. So we have quite a fair amount of stuff here in that aspect in terms of points. Now the question is, like, what are we going to be kind of doing in this kind of build? So regardless of what build you pick, I'm going to do this right off the bat. Agility needs to be 100. You will not survive the city, wastelands, death row, or Raven Ridge without your agility being 100. If you ever go down the route of you not putting that up, then this video is not for yourself. Please leave. So with this, I think we're going to be more oriented in terms of let's do looting and a little bit of grinding. So for example, for myself, obviously for myself and the clan I'm in, we do often do quite a lot of looting stuff anyway. And the one thing I do a lot, and you do see it quite a lot on this channel, is obviously boss hunts. But I'm actually a looter at heart, so one of the things I would probably say is you have three different kind of aspects for looting, three different weapons for looting, three different weapons for grinding. So your kind of base one would be kind of on the pretty much the same thing as my player guide. Instead of going down the route of pistol, put it in rifle. So you kind of want the base of 120 rifle. Okay. So the reason for that is because we have something called the iron sight, which is right here. Now this hasn't got any craft on it. This one does. Don't buy that one. That's a scam. Yeah. So we got that. So we have a rifle here. So that's absolutely fine. So what you need to do now is go to Wikipedia. Have a look in the Wikipedia, see what you can find on that rifle, because what you'll have is the rifle be your main weapon. So the budget for this build is 1 million. That is honestly quite achievable from a run from Tasha's outpost to second home bunker, and with the surrounding area being with the cow bosses and bandits there is, this is very doable. I've done it. It isn't that hard. So let's go iron sight. So let's just look for it. The pierce shot would be a great one, but we're on a budget here. So this one's very high. Critical chance, very high accuracy, and very slow attack speed. So that isn't too bad. It does kill pretty much everything within this area and has 50% armor penetration. So it is good. It is helpful. We will take this. Okay. So we're now down to 800 here. So that's fine. We're not going to potentially not going to master craft it right now. So for this, we'll probably need a base of at this stage right now, I'll say 70 for it. Reload, we will need quite a high reload as well. We'll need about 40 and that. Now, one thing you'll probably notice as well, we do have other stats here that we need to go into. Now, because this is a looting build specifically, what we also need is explosives. Reason for explosive is because when you're looting, for example, if you in the current Unity 4 engine right now, if you go to death row, you would end up in a building, you'll be low level, and what you'll find is they'll start trying to get you in that aggro horde kind of thing, and you're going to be hiding behind a wall. You're going to want to use alternative fire, and you're just want to shoot as much as you can, just to kind of protect yourself. And we're going to 120 in that as well. Now we could go up higher, but this is a budget one, so we'll have 5 stat points free at this stage. And explosives will require 2 things: accuracy and reload. Doesn't need critical hit, but I think does need it as the iron sight as well. So that's fine. We will have a look at our rifles as well, our grenades launchers. Now you won't really, you won't necessarily ever buy a flamethrower at this stage anymore. It's not really the most optimal way to grind. The only thing you would buy is the Dragon's Maw, and that's if you had the money for it, but don't really, fortunately. Now we have 120. We do have like a few here that would be quite good. So from here we have Emulator. So 75, good damage. Obviously Dreadnought, I don't think that actually is at low point. Oh. So let me just check. So that's craft. So obviously part of this is obviously market manipulation in the sense you need to kind of know how to work it. So obviously you have got quite a few of the examples here. So for example, Scorcher. Let's have a look. Too expensive. XM79. Expensive. I forgot ugly stick. Might find somebody will post something of silliness here. Obviously this is outside our pay range. So the only one here that I'd probably say as a budget item is actually the Junker. So Junker would be your next kit item you would use. From my player guide, it is done really, really well. It is one of the ones I would use to kind of cover my backside. It's got great stats. So it has fast reload speed, which is really good for what it is. Slow attack speed, but it's actually not as slow as you think. The average accuracy, you can't off-put that with the items you currently have anyway, with potential stat boost mastercraft these. So that's absolutely fine, and it only requires 120. So it works out pretty damn well. It isn't as bad as Emulator, which you could have easily afforded. Obviously, these two, I would go with Junker all the way. And that's absolutely fine. We are not here to worry about too much about it. But that does suggest we do have some stats left we can use. Now, we also need to think about armour as well. Now, you have the option of going down 2 different routes here, non-strength and strength. Now, we do technically have strength there, but at this level of level 50, you will be struggling to keep up with speed. Now, for me, speed is crucial, and obviously you're not always guaranteed to have anything of substance with it, especially low level with this kind of budget. Like for myself and my main, I've got the XL mesh on, and that's absolutely fine. We've got that, but we've got other kind of things here we could use. Now, for example, let's see. Invest wouldn't be a bad idea. It gives you 10 extra kind of thing there, but it's not going to be worth it. So need to think about obviously maybe Nomad. Credits, I wish credits were that cheap. So Nomad would be your kind of budget choice on that as well. But obviously we do have another one here that is actually fairly decent. But hold on. Yeah, I have to double check it. I'm not using one of these in a long time. So a Shibono mesh is a yellow gear outlet. It's got a bit more durability. So that would kind of be your rough idea of maybe going down that route with that. But what I'm going to do is continue with the Nomad. Why the Nomad? Because it's that light armor that you can get. It's very, very cheap. And I don't see the supply of this being anything more extraordinary than it is now. So I would probably grab this when I can. Obviously, bear in mind with these videos, if the market does fluctuate quite a lot, and if this is an item you can't afford, and same again with the other items, obviously this is just a specific build for looting and covering your own backside with horse and that, basically. You probably want to go for like the GT. It's just for that speed boost. I can't stress enough. Obviously, that 5% is decent for what it is. Obviously, you want to build up your speed other ways, but obviously you'll be your own specific class. If you're like an athlete, for example, you're going to be a Usain Bolt of Fairview. So the good news is we've got 3 items here. So for example, like this, we've got our armor, we've got 2 weapons. Now, what we actually need now is we need something that's going to be substantial as a stat booster. We need something like that. Now, thankfully, with this weird update we had, we can actually just work about with what weapons can and can't be equipped. So, for example, as a god-crafted battle axe sitting right there, could get that as our stat boost, but there might be something else elsewhere here that we can use. And I've got an idea. So the other thing I could probably recommend is a survivor's weapon because say for example, some of these could be bought for cheap. You could mass craft the rolls over and over. Say for example this coat, but there's other cheaper stuff there. So for example, this lock you have about 17 attempts ish. But these ones are always good and cheap sticks basically. I'm going to see if we can find anything on here. And we can't, that's absolutely fine. So in the past, what used to happen is you used to go to melee, and you used to always find something purely because you had that 5 skill in it already. Say if there's wooden spears, that's quite interesting to see. Let's see if we can find anything that's worth it's substantial enough. Seen anything? Oh, there's a stat stick right there. Much. I'm not seeing anything that's substantial enough because with these cast stats as is, what you'll kind of want is to be able to craft these in the future. Or if you get a good deal, you won't need to worry about that in the slightest. But because of how this market is today, we want something or different. So I think I am going to go for that battle axe actually, because that seems to be one of the better ones. That's 150. Oh, that wouldn't have been too bad for this video. Um, yeah, so here we go. Got a grinder. The only issue is we can't use that because we don't have 50 strength. That's absolutely fine because I don't really want to use any strength in this for a specific reason. Normally something like the first poker and that would be up a little bit more in terms of the usability for these cast stats stuff, but unfortunately it's not this. So, yeah, so I'm not really getting much luck, so I think the best one would be the battle axe. Um, Let me check our rifles for a second. We might get lucky there. Let's see. This is what you kind of need to do. Obviously, I know other people within the community have access to other aspects of things. Like, say, for example, some might be able to use. I'm trying to think what's the word, like extensions and such, but I'm not one for extensions like that, I'm afraid, so I really do apologise for the quality of this, but hey, it could be worse. And we could have got that as well, it would have been a good wee stat thing there, but it's fine. It wouldn't have covered the budget for this anyway. 100. one thing I will go for. Normally, you would want some sort of I seen it earlier. So what you want to do is you want to have something cheap that you can use, and you can look multiple cheap items and such, or you can buy stuff off the market constantly. So, for example, that won't be a virtual when I think about it. But at least for myself, when I do look at Godcraft, I do try to sell it in a sense. See, I did see something I want to use behind it. So, for example, this. Perfect. So, not only do you have your main weapon, you have your grenade launcher that cover you, you have your armor, and you have a stat item. So, we will this 777, so that'll increase our stats here. We're also going to go and mastercraft one of these. So out of all of these, I would probably say your weapons are going to be your main point of call, because the issue what you're going to have is when you're using these items, you're just going to be trying to get the stats to improve. So I will. So you need to think about with budget. So we have enough of this. Armor doesn't really matter as much, especially because it's so high to mastercraft that it's not worth it. So we're going to do the insight, and we get 224. So this, for example, button 4. Okay, so that can boosts our stats here a little bit more. Now, with the rest of this, obviously we don't have anything on Junker because we bought it at low price. We don't have anything on Nomad Mesh because, again, we bought it on a low price. The next thing we want to do is obviously just spec into maybe. It really depends on what you want to spec into actually. So we could do machine gun, so we'll do 5 in here. So we use that up. Now we have an R65 stats here we need to get rid of. So based on the overall kind of stat calculator here, we have okay reload. We could improve that a little bit more. We have decent critical, which is going to be covered for most of us, so we can actually just remove small CDs kicking in. We can have 75 because that will cover the just cover the very high critical chance for the iron sight. Again, if you're ever unsure about any of this, if I never to go into stats and levels, as I said, yeah, critical hit. Yep, so very high. So sorry, you need 79. So obviously it's worth double checking that. So we'll go. There we go. So we can have it just on the brim, or on OCD just have it rounding up. So that'll always have a good crit chance there. So the next thing is reload. So obviously we want to check here. Got very slow and super and fast reload here. So the issue for this one is we want to make sure the iron sight is going to be your main point of call, and it's got slow reload. So we'll look at slow. So anything that's kind of within the 90s is actually okay. So I would probably say 95, maybe not. Just say 90. That's not too bad. And accuracy, I'm just going to buff it up a little bit because that's what I'm like. So from here, we've actually got a pretty good wee build here. I would probably say put 50 in endurance as well. People might not agree with that kind of idea, but purely because endurance is obviously your health, it is going to be more useful. And I would probably say it's probably your safest bet. The rest, I would actually just put in dex, just for that kind of speed booster, damage, attack speed, and just kind of show off. So basically, it's a pain in the ass to try to explain this. Basically, gonna go faster. So from this, you'll have maybe about, I think you have a 3.75% attack speed bonus. So it will shoot, things will shoot a little bit faster. It will just be a lot more versatile for yourself. And obviously, from this, you have some money left over, and that money can be used to buy ammo, 14mm. Yep, heavy. Yeah, it's a bit expensive right now. And even if you want to try this thing out, so 0.45, you can buy it from here as well. Like you have options from all of this, and these stats would be your kind of best stats in a sense. This is obviously overall with what we've done with the market. We've had a budget, we've looked into it, we've came up with a build that would work efficiently, and we are happy with this. Now, if I had a level 50 doctor and I'd done these exact stats, I would actually go show you, but unfortunately I do not. And obviously everything we've used here is kind of roughly based on the idea of what we're using here. Now, please bear in mind, if you're going down this route, if you're going to do the mastercraft and stuff and such, and you're on this budget, the mastercraft rolls are random. The marketplace can be very temperamental. So you need to work to your strengths. You need to understand that this is more of a guide than an exact to do. Because I can't guarantee you'll get these exact stats. Regardless, these stats will work. I can't guarantee you'll get them. Obviously, with some of these items here, you will get, and that's absolutely fine. I'm happy for you to get that kind of thing. But on the contrary of that, what I'm going to do now is see these 4 items sitting here. Obviously, it might not be much for a lot of people, but please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, leave a comment in the comments basically saying your username, why you should get it, and put a keyword like pineapple or something like that. Obviously, I am going to be baiting this video with giveaway in the title, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, this build helps you if you start the game or if you are looking to try something new. I might continue the series a little bit longer as well. Just see how this goes first of all. But thank you very much for popping by. Have a great day.